the Nintendo 64, a time when life was much simpler. A time where blowing into the cartridge felt like a ritual. And when Mario, Link, and Pikachu were all our childhood heroes. But you see, these games weren't just games to us. They were our after-school escape, our weekend adventure, a place where we would play with our friends. And you know, holding these things, it brings me peace, kind of like sitting by the ocean. Or maybe I'm just tripping balls. So guys, in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 most expensive Nintendo 64 games of all time. This video is going to be jam-packed with a lot of interesting information about the current games that are topping the market, along with a few honorable mentions that I think some of you will be happy with. These games have soared in value over the years, and you're going to be surprised with a couple that I throw in this list. But make no mistake, these games are becoming more and more valuable as we continue to move towards a digital world where we're owning less and less of the things we love. So without any further ado, leave a like and subscribe, and let's get right into it.
At number 5, we have got Pokemon Snap, but it's the not-for-resale version. Most gamers remember Pokemon Snap fondly. It was the charming spin-off where instead of battling Pokemon, you photograph them in their natural habitats. But there's a special variant of this game that collectors go wild for, the not-for-resale demo cartridge. These were distributed to stores like Toys R Us or Kmart for kiosk demos and were never intended for sale to the public. Identified by a unique label that says not for resale, these cartridges are significantly rarer than the standard release. What makes this version so desirable is not just the rarity, but the nostalgic factor. Many players remember trying the demo at a kiosk as kids, never realizing those cartridges would one day be a collector's item. While not as expensive as the other entries on this list, a copy can still go for $800 to $1,500 depending on the condition. These cards are a perfect blend of Pokemon popularity, historical value, and unique distribution, making them a must-have for Nintendo and Pokemon collectors alike. At number 4, we have got Worms Armageddon. While Worms Armageddon is a well-known title on PC, its Nintendo 64 counterpart is a whole different story when it comes to value. Porting a strategy-heavy 2D artillery game to a cartridge-based console with limited popularity for such titles meant that the Nintendo 64 versions didn't sell well and was only released in small quantities. Many gamers skipped in its favor for the PC version, which was easier to update and supported online play, making the Nintendo 64 version an oddity even back then. Fast forward to today, and Worms Armageddon has become one of the most elusive Nintendo 64 titles on the market. A complete copy in good condition can fetch between $1,000 and $2,000, and sealed versions are even worth more. The game itself holds up surprisingly well on the Nintendo 64, with clever controls adapted for the console and the same chaotic, explosive humor the series is known for. But again, it's the rarity that sells, not necessarily the gameplay. This one's for diehard collectors who want to own every odd port and console-specific rarity out there. At number 3, we have got Stunt Racer 64. Stunt Racer 64 is another title with a blockbuster twist. You could only rent it. Developed by Boss Game Studios and published by Midway, it never received a traditional retail release. As a result, most of the copies in circulation are rental units that were played to death or tossed over time. The game itself is a high-speed, adrenaline-filled racing title that mixes traditional racing with wild stunts and futuristic tracks, creating a unique experience that few Nintendo 64 players ever got to enjoy during its original run. Because of its rental-only status, very few complete copies exist today, and those that do command serious money. A sealed or near mint version can run anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 depending on the condition. Even loose cartridges are valuable due to the sheer rarity. What's crazy is that many collectors didn't even realize the game existed until the retro gaming boom of the 2010s, which brought it back into the spotlight. Stunt Racer 64 is one of those unicorns that prove how exclusivity and limited access can turn even a niche game into a collectible worth thousands. At number 2, we have got Super Bowling. On the surface, Super Bowling might seem like your average sports game, a simple, colorful take on knocking down pins. But behind the unassuming gameplay lies one of the rarest retail releases for the Nintendo 64. Released late in the console's life cycle around the year 2000, Super Bowling was produced in extremely limited quantities, likely because of dwindling interest in the Nintendo 64 as the GameCube loomed on the horizon. It didn't help that bowling games weren't exactly in high demand, so it quickly slipped under the radar for most gamers. Today, that obscurity has turned into a massive collector's interest. A complete inbox version of Super Bowling can easily sell for upward of $2,000, and sealed copies are even more prized. Despite the game itself being pretty straightforward, with a few cartoonish characters and surprisingly smooth controls, it's the scarcity and timing of the release that drives its value. It's one of those hidden gems that flew under everyone's radar, only to become a collector's jackpot 2 decades later. Now, before we get into the most expensive Nintendo 64 game, here are some honorable mentions. Bomberman 64: The Second Attack, valued at $600 to $1,200 or up to $2,000 in a sealed box. It didn't sell well initially, but now it's a collector's favorite due to its quality and rarity. And also, one of my personal favorite Nintendo 64 games. And just going off script here for a second, one of the reasons why I love Bomberman 64 so much is because this game was such a profoundly huge upgrade from its prequel. I mean, there were a ton of bosses, a ton of new bombs you could use, new enemies, new worlds. This game was absolutely peak. Conker's Bad Fur Day, valued between $300 to $800 or over $1,000 in a sealed box. It was notoriously inappropriate and edgy for a Nintendo console, so sales were lower. Plus, it released late in the Nintendo 64's life. I also never got a chance to play this game, so let me know if it was good. And Harvest Moon 64, valued between $300 to $800 or $1,000 plus if sealed. Farming simulators weren't mainstream yet, so it had a limited run. Fans of the series will pay top dollar for it now. Okay, sorry, I gotta go off script one more time. The funniest thing about this game to me is that when I was growing up, every friend that I had this game in their house, which is super hilarious because there were so many people who owned this game when I was growing up, but I did not, and I never tried it, so let me know if this game was good in the comments as well. And now at number 1, the most expensive Nintendo 64 game on the market currently is Clay Fighter: A Sculptor's Cut. Clay Fighter: Sculptor's Cut isn't just a rare Nintendo 64 title, it's legendary among collectors. This quirky 2D style fighting game features a roster of wacky, clay animated characters like Bad Mr. Frosty and Earthworm Jim. But what makes it so special isn't just the gameplay, it's how it was distributed. Sculptor's Cut was only available as a rental exclusive at Blockbuster Video in the late 90s, meaning you couldn't walk into the store and buy it new. Because most copies were rented out and often returned in poor condition, or never returned at all, finding one today in mint or sealed condition is like striking gold. Over the years, it's become one of the most sought after cartridges in the Nintendo 64 library, with sealed copies reaching up to $4,000 or more at auction. Even loose cartridges regularly fetch over $1,000. The game itself added 4 new characters to its predecessor, Clay Fighter 63 1/3, and refined some of the mechanics, making it the definitive version. Though, let's be honest, people aren't playing it for the mechanics anymore. It's the rarity, the blockbuster nostalgia, and the outrageous characters that make this game the holy grail of Nintendo 64 collecting.
So guys, now that we've made it through this list, my question for you is, were you taken off guard by this list? Because I know I was. When I was starting to get back into my nostalgia trip, getting myself another Nintendo 64 because my childhood one is with my family, I was really thrown off by how expensive it was to get these cartridges. One of my top favorite games of all time that I only threw in as an honorable mention because I'd like to use it down the road was Bomberman 64 Second Attack. This game was such a mind-blowing game for me as a kid. I remember playing the first one, Bomberman 64, and I loved it. I thought it was so fascinating and interesting, and in fact, I have the game, and I'm playing it right now, actually. But, when I got this game, I paid $60 for it. But when I looked into Bomberman 64 Second Attack, I realized that this game was literally worth like $400 or $500. So, kind of just mind-blowing how some of these games that no one even really cared about when we were growing up are now becoming huge collector's items. And it just really goes to show that when it comes to value, people can make up any reason to want to put a nice, pretty price tag on games like this. So guys, there you have it. That is the top 5 most expensive Nintendo 64 games of all time. What did you think of the list? Did you like it? Do you agree with it? Let me know down in the comments below. And guys, if you want to see more interesting videos like this, be sure to let me know. This channel isn't just going to be about gaming stuff. We're talking about value, guys. Value is in everything. Beyond Pokemon cards, beyond Nintendo 64 games. But I thought this would be a fun little interesting introduction to the channel because I think it's really interesting. And I do like games. So if you want to see more videos like this, let me know. And of course, a video should pop up on your screen right now. Be sure to click it, and I'll see you over there. Alright. Let's get into this game. You don't think I'm playing anything, do you? Well, you're right.